The enterprise computer system is controlled by 3 primary processor cores, cross-linked with the redundant Mellicort's Ramostat 14 kiloquad interphase modules. The core element is based on an FTL nanoprocessor with 25 bilateral kellalactorals, with 20 of those being slaved into the primary Heisenfram terminal. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
You read that better than Riker. Good job.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. We did both read that. And today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 6, Episode 7, entitled Rascals. Story by Ward Botsford and Diana Drew Botsford, and Michael Piller. Teleplay by Allison Hawk. Directed by our pal Adam Nimoy. This was Halloween, October 31st, 1992. Where were you, and how you doing today, Cirroc?
Doing great.
This episode was brought to you by Bill Erickson. Special thanks to War Dogheim. Right. You know him as War Dogheim. We know him as War Dogheim, or Bill Erickson, or the guy that supplied me with some awesome huckleberry yogurt pretzels that were outstanding, and I even had some of his huckleberry syrup on my pancakes. Bless you, Bill Erickson, and thank you for sponsoring this episode.
Don't forget about that jerky too. He's got top quality jerky for those of us that like meat.
Yeah. Man, I'm going to tell you though, those pretzels, good golly. Oh, and the pretzel and the huckleberry taffy, yum.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, and huckleberry jam and everything. He's our huckleberry, that supplier, that's for sure. Everybody, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications if you're listening, and give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. Visit us on patreon.com/the7thrule to support the show. That would be the best thing ever. And in the comments below, drop your favorite Megadeth song. So you've never seen this episode before, Cirroc, but let me tell you.
Yeah.
Everybody's been waiting for this episode to see what your reaction is to it. And I definitely thought of you a few times. When they pop up on the transporter pad, give me your initial unfiltered reaction of the 4 of them are suddenly 12-year-olds.
I was thinking what took them so long to do an episode like this, because it feels like anybody who watches Star Trek could have wrote this episode or come up with an idea like this, pretty fairly quickly. It's basically like Tom Hanks is Big or Freaky Friday or all of these kind of, movies where an adult is in a kid's body type situation. Right. So it almost felt like it took them 6 seasons to figure this one out. Like this is an easy low hanging fruit. But I was really thinking that from the opening scene that this was going to be unusual because it was the weirdest collection of people that I think I've ever seen in an opening scene.
Yep.
Basically people we never see that much, with the exception of Picard. And even Ro Laren is not that established yet, so she's not like in every episode right now. She's still a roll of the dice, whether you're going to see her or not. So to see Ro Laren, Keiko, who I don't even know when the last time I saw Keiko was.
Once or twice.
Yeah. And also Guinan, like another Halley's Comet type character that just comes in for those great moments, steals the show, and walks away. It's like, wow, 4 of them in the same episode. So I was thinking, wow, this is going to be unusual. This is a pairing. You talk about the away teams and who gets sent down on the away teams. This was basically an away team pairing that we haven't seen before.
Right. And that's kind of like when you remember that story. That's kind of like when you first see the episode, that the very first thing you think is, what, for me personally, I thought, what a great group. we've never seen Guinan on an away mission or Keiko. Rose done something in a shuttlecraft. The first thinking is, hey, this is really cool. We get to focus on these characters and these actors. It's going to be really great. Something's going to happen, because there's really no world in which those four should be on an away mission together. It was very, very, very strange. So it feels like the immediate thought is, okay, they put them together for a story. But then they put them together for a story of them as kids, and then the actors aren't even in it. I would have much rather, first of all, I do love this episode, and it was a lot of fun. But that being said, I would have loved to see these four actually be on an away mission as the adults. I want to see Whoopi. I want to see Rosalind. I want to see Michelle Forbes. I want to see Patrick Stewart in a group doing their thing where they can actually get their limelight, not as kids, because that doesn't really feel like the regular characters. Or I would have rather this be four of the main cast become kids, and so then people like Keiko and Rolaren and Guinan need to step up on the Enterprise, because, for example, if Guinan has to step up in the absence of Troy, and Keiko needs to step up because O'Brien, is a kid, and Rolaren needs to step up because, well, not Data, but let's say Worf, that then they can still be featured. But anyway, so great episode, fun times, but I feel like there's a missed opportunity there to where the actual actors that usually play these characters, it would have been great to see them getting this episode, but there's no way to do that when they're kids.
Yeah, which is weird, because you're like, oh wow, they finally paired them all together, and it's like, oh no, they didn't. It's just a teaser,
Yeah.
And then also just like the weird. First of all, I think it's weird for the shuttlecraft to have four people. Just let's start off. Let's start off with.
I thought my nitpick was bad. You wanted to have six?
No, it should be a two-seater.
That looks like a two or nothing.
Yes, unless you're rescuing somebody, then you can bring two people on board. But as a comfortable passenger seat vehicle, that doesn't look like a comfortable space right there for four people.
Yeah.
That looks like a two-seater. Like, it doesn't. Even when they were going through the wreckage of it, the frame, they had a box frame, steel frame, kind of looking like it was the destroyed version of that thing. When you look at it, you're like, four people can't fit in that thing. It's like trying to put two people inside of a grocery shopping cart. It's a one-seater. You can't put two people in there. So I don't know. Just off top, I'm like, how do four people go in a little shuttlecraft? That would give me claustrophobia off top. I mean, me and my dad sailed in a little sail ship, and that felt crowded, and that was the two of us, and it still felt crowded because there's not that much space to walk around in and, stretch, just walk around and stretch. You can't stand up straight. It's just like it's cramped space. So yeah, that off top, I'm like, what the hell is four people doing in a little transporter thing, right? And then you're thinking, and what would bring these four together? It's just a weird thing. Like,
that's the interesting part. Yeah, like you start thinking, what was going on that planet? There's or maybe they just all four just did different things. Like that's what it seemed like, because Picard was doing archaeology. They made fun of him for being in a cave. What's her name? Keiko was doing like botany. Rolaren was, being grouchy and whatever. So maybe they're just like, hey, we're going to stop at this planet. Does anybody have any business there? And they're like, I do. And they all went on their separate ways. I would have liked to see the episode of them on the planet doing things, and then maybe the Ferengi arrive and something zany happens. That would have been really fun.
That would have been fun. I agree with that. Because, again, the pairing was so weird. And, let's just take this episode out of it. Let's say we were constructing our own reason to put a group of 4 together to go to a planet, right? I would construct something like, as far as a writing tool, I would say it's a wedding or a bachelor party, right? So if you have 4 random characters that you've never seen together, and I guess in the bachelor party case, it would be 4 male characters to going together, right? But it's the 4 that you never see working together. You're like, what is the bully and barber and and Worf, and like just a weird combo, right? You would be like, that's kind of weird. We never see them hanging out together. And then it was a bachelor party or some kind of thing that they're all going to. Boom, that would have been fun to see. Or even the ladies going to a bachelorette party. That take Picard out of it, substitute Troy or somebody, and they were going out for ladies' night on the town in that quadrant's version of Vegas. You know what I mean? Now that's a story I kind of want to see. I want to see Keiko, and you know what I mean. I want to see them
letting loose
girls' night. Yeah, like their own Hangover, Star Trek's version of Hangover.
Marlonia. That's what the place is called, Marlonia.
Okay.
So that being said, now that we got all of our cries out of the way, this is a fun episode that is loved by many people. Maybe some people don't like it. Maybe some people are like, I don't want to see the kid versions of these people. But obviously it was lighthearted. It was funny. It was confusing with the Ferengi suddenly popping out of the Klingon ships. But it was nice because we got a little bit of, it felt like character development with these people as kids. Like we got to see, it felt like we got to know more about the characters because we got to see how they would act in a certain situation. Like Ro Laren, we probably learned the most about her backstory, how her childhood was difficult. And it was really sweet to see her say, it was better than I remember it or something like that at the end. There was a really good moment at the end. Guinan as a kid, she was just like, awesome. I haven't been a kid for 10,000 years. I'm going to jump on a bed. Picard was super stiff. A lot of funny moments with when he comes in to try to tell Worf what to do. And Worf's like, psh, I will not listen to a child, and then Keiko trying to hug up on Miles, and he's like, I don't like this. This is weird. The best part though was Molly. She goes, not you, Mommy. She messed her up so bad. I actually was very happy about that.
Me too. Because kids don't hold back. They're like, they just say whatever they feel.
She fucked her up, dude.
Lady, whoever you are.
Get her out of here. She was so mean about it. I loved it.
I did too. That was funny. I guess I'm going to be nitpicking a lot in this episode, but I'm going to just go for it. Yeah, I had a little bit of an issue with all of them aging to the same age.
Yeah.
I thought Guinan should have came back slightly younger, but still older.
Yeah, if she's like a million years old or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, if she's that old, okay, they went back 40, 50 years or whatever the number is, But how could they all end back up at 12? Like they all have different ages. You know what I'm saying?
And also, who's to say that 12 years in El-Aurian, which is what Guinan is, if they live forever, maybe 12-year-olds still look like babies to them. Maybe they age really slowly. That would have been a fun and interesting thing to explore too. But you understand why they didn't do that. It's because it was supposed to be an episode about these 12-year-olds save the day, and if Guinan was an infant, they'd be like, okay, well, we'll just put you in this closet for safekeeping and move on. But there were a lot of things like that. Also, they didn't really seem 12 to me, but I don't know. Like they seem, especially young Picard looked like he was 16 or I don't know.
He was about 15. He was about 14 to 15. I think he was. And actually, I enjoyed his performance because I thought he did a really good job of embodying what Picard does. So kudos to that kid. I thought he matched some of the mannerisms. And I don't know if it was under just direction alone or if it's some instinctual things that he had from watching him. But there were moments, for example, when he was in Picard was in his own ready room talking to
Yeah.
Beverly, and she's like, I don't think people are going to look at you the same. It's going to be difficult for you to command. He got up out of his seat and walked towards the window the same way Picard would have, and the only difference I noticed in performance wise between what Picard would have done and what that kid actually did was that Picard would have delivered the line facing the camera
Mm.
with his face to the camera, whereas the kid delivered the line with his back to the camera looking out of the window. Just because Picard has that extra, I mean, Patrick Stewart has that extra added experience of knowing I want my lines to be with my face, accompanied by my face, as opposed to letting you see the back of my head and giving lines. That's the only difference that I noticed performance wise. How the real Patrick Stewart would have, his body mannerisms and things of that nature, the tone, it was pretty accurate. So
Mhm.
I was enjoying his performance.
I agree with you there. Actually, that reminds me, the thing that uh, that the only thing that took me out of it with the kid was not his performance, but his accent. Felt like it was a different British accent than Picard's. Oh, sorry, I mean different French accent. We all think that Captain Picard is
The
very
British
French.
side of France.
Yeah. So everybody at home, people that actually know what they're talking about, not me, I could be 100% wrong about these British accents, but somebody that does know about British accents, preferably somebody that lives in the UK, can you tell us what was the kid's accent and what is Picard's accent? I feel like Picard's accent is just straight up London. Maybe the kid is too. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it felt like a different accent or a different, dialect or variation.
Dialect.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So that was the only thing, but I do agree that he did a great job with what he could control. We don't want an impression of Picard. Don't try to do an impression of his accent. Just do your thing and act like him in mannerisms and in uh, physicality, which I thought he did. He did very well. Thank God, because you really need that for this episode. If you don't get that, he got by far the most screen time and lines of all the kids. If they didn't find an actor that can portray Picard, it would have really hurt this episode a lot.
Yeah, it would have. And there was parts of me that wanted to see him actually be the kid captain for a second, like
Yeah,
longer than he was,
totally.
because I like the awkwardness. I like how Worf was like, "I'm not going to take orders from this guy," and then Frakes looks at him like, "It's cool."
Riker was so hesitant too. That Riker was given really good looks. He's so good
Great
at the
looks,
looks. Yeah.
especially when they got into turbo lift, and he did one of those like look down at him, and then he looks back and he's like, "I'm not, I'm not,
That
I'm not looking at you."
and the camera angle was perfect for that because it was looking up at them. That was
Yes,
great.
yes, it was a good camera angle. It was a good performance, and that's why I kind of would have liked to see him be the captain as a kid a little bit because he was pretty good. Like he was like right away from the when they were in the med bay and everybody was doing their diagnostics. Dr. Crusher was checking all four of them out, and then he kind of baby Picard gets up, he tucks his shirt down, he's like, okay, what you'll do is you'll do this
Yeah.
and you take a diagnostics of her, and then number one, you're with me. And I was like, this kid this kid got on nerve the way he said number
chill,
one. Yeah, the way he said number one, you're with me, was literally accurate. It was right on point because it had the same inflections as Picard when he says it. So it was great, and the look on everybody's face, like it is Picard, but
They're like, should we
he's,
tell him? I don't want to.
yeah,
This is
it's still
awkward.
Picard. Like he still has the mental capacity. Like he could still out debate me. He outranks me. He has the linguistic ability to defend his point, articulate his life experience. So he has all the tools, except you're a little kid, you know. And it's like, what do you want me to do? Like, you're still a little kid. It's hard for me to take orders from you. I would have liked them to extend that a little bit longer to a point where it became an issue, right? Maybe it would have came an issue. For example, let's say Baby Picard is in charge, and we get all the awkward looks, and the Data is like rolling his eyes, and Worf is like, "Okay, I can only take so much of this," and and all of that. We juice that out a little bit more, and then we get, sir, we have two bird of praise decloaking, and now they're hailing us. Now it's like, all right, guys, now you bail.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That would have been a time to say, you know what?
They're not going to take us seriously if there's a kid saying,
yes,
stand down your weapons. But I'm so glad to hear you say Baby Picard, because that's literally what I was calling them in my notes. I was calling them Baby Picard and Baby Guinan and stuff like that. I don't need to call them kid. They're babies, basically. Yeah. But, also, as long as we're nitpicking here, like, okay. When they transported over, their clothes were loose fitting, of course, because they shrank. But then when Picard transported back into an adult, he had the perfect fitting clothes on. He didn't go from like a kid in those clothes to like transported back and suddenly, like his belly's showing because his shirt's like super short and he's got like ankles showing and sleeves are ripping and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a minor nitpick, but I'm like, hey, I noticed, I'm not saying I need to see Picard naked, but if you're going to transport and you're wearing tiny clothes and then you're going to appear as a bigger person, you should probably get naked, or you might get choked by your shirt, or just put on like a robe or a blanket because you're going to, anyway.
Well, yeah, or you could dress for that. You could say, hey, put on the baggy clothes that would fit you when you're back.
But this time, the clothes grew with him. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. Just very minor nitpick, and it reflects more poorly on me than on the episode that this is something that bothers me, because this always happens in everything I've ever seen with kids, cartoons, and with movies, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and everything. Like, the clothes always go with them. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, and I get why people don't really like the kid-centered episodes, the Alexander Rashenko episodes, and stuff like that. But the reason almost gets brought up in this episode, which is like the Ferengi guy says it's cool to bring children on a starship or board a starship or something to that degree. And so I think there are some people who, for whatever reason, maybe because they served in the military or they have strong views about this, they might think that it's not a place for children to be aboard, this kind of a vessel. It's a little bit different on a space station like DS9 was, because that's more of a grounded place and it's not a vessel designed for battle, for, with warheads and all this kind of photons and all this stuff. It's just essentially a stationary place. That makes more sense for
Plus it's just way more people. They're just families. It's not something that's going out and exploring and putting themselves in harm's way. It's just a station.
Well, I expect to see kids on an army base or a naval base, because I'm sure there's housing there, there's shops there. It makes sense to see one, let's say,
but not on a battleship. But if you see one
on a battleship, or if you're on your aircraft carrier, you're like, what the hell is this kid doing here?
Oh, that's my family. It's okay. He understands the risks. The 4-year-old does. Yeah. He gets it.
Can you stop your baby from crying while we're trying to shoot this?
We're in a submarine. We're trying to keep it quiet in here. Hey, we got to jump to our break. Let's do that. And then I'll tell you, Sirach, something in this episode that I thought was done better than any other episode ever. Ooh. On the other side, we'll be right back on the 7th rule. I know.
Wow.